Welcome back to LA Show. Thank you all so much for tuning back in with me today. Today I have an important interview with Rica Rountree's mother, Antionetta Rountree. This interview sheds light on what took place before and after this tragedy took place, taking this young girl's life. Just to give background and context on what took place to Rika, I have an article here from change.org. On January 26th of 2019, an 8-year-old girl lost her life. That little girl, Rica Roundtree, was murdered by the very people who were supposed to care for her. That evening, baby Rika died on the operating table due to injuries she sustained at the hands of her father, Richard Roundtree, and girlfriend, Cynthia Baker. Cynthia kicked Rika so hard in her stomach that it ruptured her intestines. Then the psychopath denied the child access to medical care until it was too late. The autopsy revealed that Rika had been being abused for quite some time and had over 67 marks on her tiny body. Investigations and testimony have revealed that Cynthia Baker and Richard Roundtree are murderers who deserve to spend the rest of their lives in jail. And so should anyone who neglected to remove Rika from the home of her abusers. Not only did Rika's mother, Antionetta, report the abuse, so did multiple teachers, and most importantly, Rika spoke up for herself, and nothing was done by Illinois DCFS. Anyone who overlooked these complaints should be held to the same level of justice as her actual abusers. We do demand justice for Rica Roundtree, for everyone that was involved with her murder. I had the opportunity to speak with Antionetta Rountree, Rika's mom, about what took place in her life, and honestly, it blew me away. This woman is very strong, she's smart, and she has a future that she has to go through without her daughter. So please listen with an open heart. Let's support this sister in the fight for justice for Rica Roundtree.
That sucks. I love you.
Welcome back to LA. Thank you guys so much for tuning back in with me. Today we have a story that has happened and it needs to be heard for multiple reasons. Today we have the mother of Rica Roundtree, a beautiful, beautiful young baby girl who was murdered by people who were supposed to protect her. And, Antoinetta is here to continue on with getting out her story and what has happened to her baby girl. So I would like for you all to listen and, take your judgments or anything of that nature elsewhere, because this isn't for that. Um, Welcome, Miss Roundtree. Thank you so much for coming in with us and, speaking with us about what took place. I appreciate you so much. You are very strong, very much so. And I hate to use that term, but, it's something that we have to be nowadays. Could you tell us what Rico was like as a child? What was she like?
Crazy. Uh, just full of life. Just a normal little girl with a great big imagination. She was just happy about just being happy. She was just a good kid that just she wanted to know everything. She wanted to do everything. She was extremely helpful. Um, she was life. I mean, just to sum it up, like she was life. To be around her was to be happy. I mean, on my worst days, she'd be like, "Mommy, it's okay," or "Mommy, what's wrong?" And she'd have kisses. I mean, she was a nurse when you were sick. She was a hairstylist when you didn't need one. She was a very good doll mom. I mean, just she would have been an amazing mother. I mean, she was just my baby. She was just everything to me.
I love that you were able to break that down for us, because, we see these tragedies, but we don't know what's behind it and what we're actually losing. These children have futures. Does Rika have any siblings?
Rika has 4 brothers.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
her dad got some daughters, but I've got 4 sons, so she's got 4 big brothers.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's a beautiful thing, and that's a blessing. So she was very much so protected in your household. Um,
Absolutely.
yes, ma'am. What was the situation on how Rika was transferred custody to your ex-husband, Richard? What was that situation?
I got raided in 2016, and when I got raided in 2016, of course, let's call her dad. Her dad can come and get her and my
Mm.
younger son, because that was his dad too. That's all he knew. So in 2016, when I got arrested, I didn't want Rika wrapped up with the system. So I asked them to please call her dad and ask her dad to come and get her and Charles, my younger son, and he did. The very next morning, I get the call that Charles couldn't stay because Charles isn't his biological son, in which he's been with them since he was a year old. And we were
Mhm.
together for 8 years. So that's the only dad he ever knew. But the
Correct.
next morning, they let me know that I need to find another placement for Charles, but they were willing to keep Rika. It was December the 5th, 2016, when I was released from county. So I went September 29th. I was released December the 5th. And it was at that time that I called and told him, okay, I'm out now. I want my baby back. And he told me that, well, I can't give her back to you because DCFS is involved. And they said that I can't. So I went to DCFS and I asked them, like, what's up? Like, why can't I get my daughter back? And at that time, they said, we don't have anything to do with it. That's it's a civil matter. You need to deal with your husband in court. And so he passed the buck to them. They passed the buck. And so at that time, it was just a waiting game to get back into court because at the time, Richard and I separated September of 2015. And so we were in a divorce at the time of my raid. And he just, at that time, put a motion in for custody based off of uh, my recent raid. And
Okay.
so it was just a battle in court from there with him.
Okay. So there was some type of custody battle between you two. Then when your situation went south, he went about his way in trying to work the system into getting Rika.
Yes, prior to, because we have been already dealing with the divorce for a year. He had
Hmm.
never questioned my parenting. He had never had anything to say about visitation or custody or anything, to the point where the judge even said that this is out of nowhere. There's never been a problem, but now you want custody. But the judge ultimately had given him his way.
Okay. Okay. And that's something that, a lot of people deal with on a daily basis, custody battles, that's nothing new. So you went to jail after the fact, after all of that took place, and then this is when the tragedy took place with Rika, correct?
Yeah, so I went to jail 2016 for a drug charge. 2015, after our separation, I had gotten a DUI. And so I had ended up going to prison for my DUI, not for the drugs. And so I went to prison for my DUI. I was sentenced January 10th, 2019 to 30 months for the DUI.
Mhm.
January 26th, my daughter was dead. And January 28th, I was notified.
Okay, wow. So it took them days to notify the biological mom, which is totally not okay.
I was in
Um,
prison, so I guess it happened. I guess she collapsed Friday night. She ultimately passed on 1:19 Saturday morning. They had to, I guess, by me being in prison, had to verify that everything was true.
correct.
Though a million people were calling to the prison to tell me, they had to verify, and they didn't tell me until Monday, the
Wow.
28th.
Okay. And that's understandable, and that's good that you broke that down, you know. Do you want to go into detail about what Rika went through at the hands of Cynthia Baker? You know,
Yeah, torture, hell. The judge said wanton cruelty. Um, is torture. She went
yeah,
through she went through everything any human would never want to go through, not just a child, but any human wouldn't want to go through what she went through. She was their plaything. It's apparent in the videos that they recorded. Um, she was their plaything. She was used for their entertainment, their enjoyment, and she went through hell, torture.
I just want to let you know that that just breaks my heart because you know it don't make no sense. It don't make any sense. And my condolences, my love, and everything goes out to you, Antoinetta, for real.
I appreciate that.
No problem. How long has CPS been involved with Rika? Was this just up until this point, or had there been any type of issues in the past?
Okay, so Richard and I separated in September of 2015. I got 6 to 7 reports from DCFS to investigate me, and they were all unfounded. I later found out that it was Cindy that was sending them to my house. And after the last report, because the lady was coming every week, literally every single week. And she
Yeah.
said, at this point, it's harassment and you need to write out to Springfield because it's harassment. And so I asked Richard, I said, Richard, it seems like everything I'm talking to you about is getting twisted. And now DCFS is coming to my house and it's all stuff that I've communicated with you about, but it's twisted information. And he's like, well, I didn't call them on you. I said, well, maybe it's your girlfriend. He said, no, she wouldn't do that. She would never, she don't got time to just be sitting and calling. I said, well, it's funny that it's things that I'm communicating with you that they're coming to my house about, but it's some twisted form of whatever we're talking about. So what's going on? And he's like, no, it wasn't me, it wasn't her. And I'm like, okay, so prior to, outside of that, I had my son standing outside in 2014 because they were acting up in school. And I
Hmm.
had them standing outside under the tree in my front yard holding signs about their behavior as a punishment.
Hmm.
Somebody called on me then and it was unfounded and I got kudos from DCFS. They said, way to go, mom. And it was just literally to embarrass them. But whoever called on me told them that I had them out there for hours and it was hot and they weren't
Hmm.
being watched. But these aren't little kids. These are like 11-year-old and I don't know. They weren't little kids, they were big boys acting up in school. And I didn't know what else to do with them. They got their asses whooped. They got punished. I took stuff from them. What else could I do besides embarrass them? And so that was my point of having them standing out there with the signs talking about their behavior. And that was unfounded. So prior, Rika had never dealt with that. I had issues in Minnesota with my older boys that was cleared up. But other than that, Rika came from a good house. She came from a good upbringing. She came from a good family. She came from love. And Richard knew the caliber mother that I was, and he knows the caliber that I am. And he saw what I went through with my sons and their father. So to have him turn around and do and allowed what he had done, I drove to Minnesota to check my kids' dad's girlfriends about my sons. I drove from Illinois to Minnesota with Richard in the car with me about my sons. So the fact that he would allow this lady to take my daughter, I have no idea what the hell his problem is.
Okay. Okay. And like you were stating about, you know, embarrassing the child, basically we've seen different parents do different things pertaining to their household. So nobody is able to judge, what is going on. Like she said, these children were older, and there are consequences to actions, and there are things that we have to, as parents, instill in our children and not be afraid to do so, which a
Right.
lot of parents are, you know what I'm saying? Your ex-husband received 8 years for his involvement in what took place with his own child. And you have a lifetime full of pain. How does that make you feel?
Man, it's just like, it makes me feel like my daughter's life meant nothing to nobody. Like, for 8 years, and this is the man that came to court multiple occasions to tell the judge how piss poor I was as a mother, how his household was far better and safer for my daughter than being at home with me. He went into the courtroom numerous occasions to debunk my parenting skills, to turn around and do this and only receive child endangerment. I just don't understand how that's even logical. I don't understand how that's okay, period. I don't get it. I don't know the judicial system. I don't know the sentencing laws. I don't know any of these things. I just don't see how this man, I wasn't in the background not fighting for my daughter. I wasn't just somewhere doped up in a bubble not caring. I was at every court date. I was fighting at every court date. I was kicked out of courtrooms trying to fight my fight. I just don't understand how this man put up all this resistance to keep my child because she's so much safer with him, only to find out my daughter was literally being tortured at their hands. And he only got 8 years at 50%. He's only going to do 3 years, if that.
That is just mind blowing. That is really mind blowing. And you brought up the judicial system and the tricks and the loopholes you have to go through, and that just does not make any sense to me. But with that being said, how was you and Richard's relationship? When y'all were raising up Rika, and how was that?
He was very protective. He was very protective. He was a good dad, not just to Rika, but to my sons.
Mm.
We were a power couple. I mean, people seen us together. We had people telling us they were getting married and, doing different things within their own households based off of what we were doing. And so when we separated, it was a shock to everybody. Nobody seen it coming. Nobody seen it coming. I mean, we had an amazing relationship. I I'm still struggling right now. I'm still, up until the day he left my house, he swore up and down there was no other woman. He wasn't doing anything else. He swore up and down. He drained my account months before our final separation. Couldn't account for any of that money. And I didn't know. I know now, but I didn't know it then that he was making his escape. But I didn't see it coming. I'm still really confused by everything that I know. It's just it's a shocker to me. I can't explain it, because the person that the text messages walking past her. I mean, I still don't understand it. I still can't wrap my head around it.
I saw the video as well that they showed on the news of him just walking past, and it literally made my stomach turn. And that's why I wanted to ask you how he was as a person, um, because this does reflect directly on his character, whether he knows it or not. So they can fight, scream, jump, and yell to try to get out of jail. But this is what y'all did. You have to face what you did. Gosh, I just can't make sense out of this either. It came out in trial that he texted Cynthia Baker, quote, "Would life be better without Rica?" Does that sound like the man that you were married to?
Absolutely not. When Rika was born, he had set up balloons and banners and streamers. When she was born, I could not take her outside. He didn't want nobody holding her. He didn't want people breathing on her. When I tell you, this man was overly protective of his baby. I mean, their relationship, I couldn't have asked for a better father for my daughter, is how I felt. I stayed with him as long as I did and put up with some of the things I did because he was an amazing father. I don't know who the hell this man is today. I don't know who that guy is that was writing those Texas walking past. I don't know who he is. I don't know that guy.
Yeah,
I don't know
and
him.
that's how certain relationships play out. Sometimes people outgrow each other, and things happen. But at the same time, for him to go off the deep end like this is stuff that women do need to be aware of. When you're up against the wall as a single mother and something happens to you, then you have to think about the viable options in your corner in order for your children to be safe. And little did DCFS know, they were literally handing this child over to a group of monsters.
Not to
So as
mention, not to mention, this lady's been indicated twice before for child abuse.
really,
She's been indicated twice before for child abuse, for her own child and for another stepchild. So this isn't something new. This is old behaviors that
okay,
this lady had. So how they were able to say, well, this little girl is saying she being abused, but this little girl was lying. But this lady got this in her history. This is what she's been known to do.
exactly.
They didn't bring it up. They didn't talk about it once. It never came up until after my daughter was dead.
How I just don't understand how that can even happen, because I thought it was a vetting process that DCFS was supposed to do, being that he did live with Cynthia and that was Cynthia's home, correct?
Okay, so I know once in court, like my daughter, I had brought up the fact that, okay, so he's saying he lived here. My daughter's going to school here. My daughter's going to school in Bloomington, but they're saying they live in Varna. He told the judge, and the judge rocked with it. He told the judge that he lives in Varna at this girl's family's house, and my daughter is living here. But he makes sure my daughter gets to and from school every single day and that he's there with her. But the judge, I'm not exactly sure how he didn't pick up on, if you're living in Varna and she's going to school in Bloomington, how are you with your daughter? Because I said, if this lady is taking care of my baby and her dad isn't, then my daughter might as well be home with me.
Exactly.
And the judge never did anything, said anything. It was just okay with him. I mean, he lied through the whole. I never went into court and lied at all when it came to my daughter's case in this whole process. I never did. I got kicked out the courtroom multiple times because I'm telling you, these people are lying to y'all. These people are lying to y'all. But I had no credibility at all whatsoever. They did not listen to me. He did not hear me, nothing. But you're pushing off what I'm telling you to know is true about these people. and now my daughter's dead, but they still come into the courtroom after her death to say that I'm lying. How am I lying and my daughter dead? 67 marks, cigarette burns, broken teeth, black eyes. How am I lying? How was I lying? How was she lying? She even recorded it. This
Exactly.
thing, I mean, it ain't make believe. It really happened. But you, after her death, are still saying that I manipulated, coerced her.
That's so they actually accused you of coercing baby girl into what she has came out and told you all. So she told people that she was being abused.
She told the judge. She told the guardian ad litem. She told DCFS. She told the teacher she was afraid to go home. She told people. She told her best friend who got on the stand for her. She told people. My daughter was very vocal in advocating for herself.
Lord,
Nothing happened.
I mean, what in the world, man? Baby girl out here telling people that she's being abused, telling people that she's being hurt, and these people are ignoring a child?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because I don't know how it works anywhere else, but if DCFS is coming to your house, they're going to call you first. They're not just going to pop up. They're going to call you. They're going to schedule time to come. So when they come to talk to her, of course now, yeah, I ran into the medicine cabinet. I think she's 4'3" when she died. She ran into a medicine cabinet at 4'3". Oh, she stumbled over her toys because she's very clumsy. Come on, like really? When she gets she missing days out of school, and then when she comes back to school, she's got a black eye that's healing. She's got scars on her face that are healing. Then she misses more school when she comes back with more scars. But nobody said anything, but these are mandated reporters.
I mean, that's exactly right. These people are meant to call in if they see something that's going on within the school system. Yes, yes. And that happens on a daily basis. So it's crazy to me that this just did not happen with this child. You know, let's talk about Cynthia a little while, because, you know, this is the person who inflicted all this pain on your baby girl. This is the one who took it upon herself to take this angel out of this world. And I just can't understand why she would do this. But Cynthia Baker is Richard's longtime girlfriend.
Yeah.
And did you ever get to meet her? Uh, how was she as a person? Did you ever get any personal conversations out of her or anything?
Yeah, I did, because Richard stepped out. The only time I communicated with him was in court. Anything outside of court, I did not talk to him. I had to go through Cindy. They came to my house one time and she was pregnant. I didn't know she was pregnant at the time, but she was drunk. And she was acting ignorant, and I had recorded it, and for the life of me, it didn't save to any of my Google accounts, but I recorded. It was a mess. You come to my house acting a fool because I'm late dropping my daughter off, and so they bring the family to the house acting just ignorant, and it was just she's an ignorant ass individual. She's just ignorant. I mean,
Okay.
she's a horrible person. She speaks horribly. I mean, I don't understand, knowing who I am and what I've seen. I don't know that man and how he chose. I mean, I feel like if I would have never kicked him out in September 2015, he would have kept us both. He would have never been with her. She was okay to do whatever it is that she was doing for the 8 years on the side. He married me while they were still messing around. We had kids while he was still messing around with this lady. He would have never married her. He would have never chose her. And I believe wholeheartedly that's the anger, because she knew that too. I gave him to her. You can have him. I don't want him. I'm not sharing my husband. You can have him. So when they got an opportunity to get my baby, I think that was just her payback for everything mentally that she was going through over the time, realizing that this man is only sneaking through to see me. This man is only sneaking over. I mean, as far as I know, from what I understand, they got 2 kids together. One of those kids was born the year we got married. And I mean, he would have never chose her. And I think that that's her anger.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that that is a very vindictive and psychotic thing to do to some child that's innocent out of the whole situation. So Cynthia Baker is scheduled back in court on September 4th of 2020. Um, she already asked for a new trial back in December of last year. So, and she's charged with murder, aggravated battery, endangering the life of a child, 3 counts of domestic battery. What is her sentence and why is she going back to court on September 4th?
She has not been sentenced yet. She waited until her sentencing hearing to file a motion for a new trial, that she was not properly represented by her attorney, and she fired her attorney. And so we're going back on September the 4th to hear all motions. The judge told him they had till August 27th to hand in all motions. There's nothing going to be received after that date. They would have to present everything September the 4th. So September the 4th, we'll find out if she's going to be granted a new trial. And then I guess after that, we'll find out what happens next. I mean, if she's not granted a new trial, then she will be having her sentencing, and she's life with no parole. She'll never be free again. I just don't understand what would be different in a new trial. It's been proven you did this. Her last attorney said, yeah, she's guilty of abuse. She's guilty of all the things that we've seen. However, she is not guilty of murder. I don't know. Her actions of abuse resulted in my daughter's death. It was her kicking my daughter, which is abuse, that ultimately killed her. She took her kids to the doctor. She took her kids to the doctor the day my daughter collapsed and left my daughter at home. Had they taken my daughter to get medical attention within that week of her injury, she would have been saved. But they threw her in bed. They threw her in the tub. My daughter is blind. She's running into walls. She's falling downstairs. She's throwing up all over the place. They never took her to get medical attention. This is all stuff that's written. This is all stuff that happened. And through this, running into walls, and she's, oh, I'm just clumsy, is what she said. My daughter said, oh, I'm just clumsy. But through all of this, you didn't take her to the doctor once?
I mean, that's sickening. That's torture. Like you said, that's torture. Also, there were other kids in the house, like you mentioned. Cynthia's daughter, Kelsey Clay, is going to be in court, or she already has gone to court August 4th.
I can't really talk publicly about her daughter because she's a minor.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go to jail for talking about her.
Okay.
But we can definitely talk, because I can have a conversation with you about it. I just can't talk publicly about it.
Okay,
so
that's fine.
We can definitely. I'll tell you. You know what happened yesterday. I will just tell you, it's another slap. The judge's hands were tied. There's only so much he could do. And he was disgusted by it, but I missed one court date. And that was a result of me missing one court date. They went to court one day after the next, and I completely lost track that this child was going to go to court the very next day. They called me after the fact to tell me that there was a plea entered, and the plea was pretty much just like Richard. This child didn't matter to nobody. These people got more rights. These people got everything.
Well, that's absolutely insane. But that does just loop into the fact that Cynthia Baker was not only a terrorist within her home, she was teaching other children how to be mini terrorists. You know, and I can speak to that because I have absolutely no involvement in the case. This young child was also involved with the torture of Rika. That's absolutely insane. And like we said earlier, it was a group of them in the home terrorizing this one child, but fighting on the outside to try to seem like they were great parents and try to take accountability from Antionetta. And that's something that happens on a daily basis in America. You know, CPS to me has been dubbed kidnappers because that's pretty much what they are until they're able to prove that they are sufficiently putting children into these homes and sufficiently looking after these children. Then I can't call them nothing less. Do you have any advice for others out here, you know, being that you know, had to do some time in jail or, you know, anything of that nature to where you could give some advice?
Well, I'm 41 years old, and life took a turn for me late. Some of the things that I experienced over the last 3 years, most people experience when they're way younger. I experienced it a little later in life, and it was real. It was a shell shocker. I mean, really, Richard was my life. He was everything to me. And in 2015, when I made the decision to separate from him, it took a toll on me. It really did take a toll on me. And I made a lot of really bad decisions based off of my emotions. I did not use my good sense that I was given in a lot of my actions after the fact. Selling drugs, I lost my job. So I went back to what I knew, you know. I made some really bad decisions. However, through those bad decisions, I never stopped loving my babies. I never stopped caring or trying to do for my kids, protect my children. I never stopped. It wasn't until I got out of jail in 2016 and found that I wasn't getting Rika back that things kind of went left. I was on my stuff. I got my house back. I got everything back that I had lost, and I was fighting so hard for my daughter. When I got wind that she was being abused in July of 2017, and I had her back for 30 days. They gave her back to me. And in that time, I had my job, I had my court, I had a duplex, a townhouse. Everything was great in my life. So in August of 2017, when they told me I had to give her back to them, I gave up. It didn't matter no more. I knew that I was giving my daughter back to be tortured and abused. I knew from the conversations that I was having with them that they were going to retaliate against my daughter for coming out about what was happening. And at that point, I wanted to die. I wanted to kill myself. I wasn't brave enough to kill myself, but I wanted to die. And everything I did, from the drugs to the going in and out of jail, I stopped doing everything. I'm not going to court no more. I'm not going to classes. I'm not doing anything. Y'all not finna give me my baby back. What am I doing this for? You know, y'all is like bypassing everything that's factual and just listening to these people. I didn't have a win. I didn't have anybody representing me in court. I didn't have nobody. I went to all these agencies out here to get help. I went everywhere to try to get help, and I couldn't get help. And so then I was helpless and I was hopeless, and I gave up. My only advice would be don't give up. Don't give up. Just don't give up. I'm not sure if I could have done anything different as far as saving my daughter's life, because I honestly don't think I could have. But all I would say is just don't give up the fight. Keep being vocal, keep advocating for yourself. Drugs is not always drugs is never going to be the answer. They gonna numb it, but it's only gonna create more problems.
Yeah.
It's just keep advocating, keep fighting, don't give up. I mean, be brave and just keep telling people, keep talking, keep
Yeah.
asking for help. Just don't stop. I mean, right now I'm stronger than I ever been. I mean, I'm not sure if they thought that I would be broken by what's happened to my daughter, but what's happened to my daughter empowered me in a way that I don't even understand. I have a
Mm,
greater sense of everything. I'm stronger. I'm mentally together right now. So
yeah.
I mean, just don't give up. Keep fighting because it's worth the fight. And track everything. Keep
Yes.
paperwork. I
Yes.
did really, really good with reaching out to everybody. I did really good with keeping paperwork, even in and out of jail. I'm grateful that I got all my paperwork. I'm grateful that I got a track record for everything. So they can't say the things didn't happen the way that they did because I got it in black and white. I reached
Yep.
out and I kept everything. I got everything. Your phone calls, document your phone calls, document emails, document visits, document everything that you can document because it's going to make a difference. I fought
Yeah.
a fight like nobody's business for my daughter for 2.5 years, only to lose. And that paperwork is what's really pointing the finger at DCFS right now. That's
Correct.
really what's sticking out with the guardian ad litem, and really you can't point the finger back at me because I reached out and I did my part as a parent
Yeah.
fighting for their child. I got proof that I did this. And so
Yeah.
just make sure you keeping up with your paperwork because they are not going to be able to deny paperwork.
Yeah. You're right. And I appreciate that advice because, I'll take your advice. Anything can happen at any given moment. People living good now, things can turn at a drop of a dime for anybody. Anybody could be in your situation. But like you said, you kept fighting, and I respect that. I respect that. Are there any new developments you want us to know about? You said something about DCFS. Are you trying to get some momentum at, what they had going on? What are you trying to do?
I'm right now awareness. I want everybody to be aware that these people are not who they say they are. And it's not just people, it's an organization as a whole. There's no checks and balances. They do what they want. They don't got nobody telling them what they're doing is wrong. They are kidnapping, they are trafficking, they are placing our children in the most horrific situations. They're removing them from loving homes, psychological damage that comes along with it. So
Mm,
right now, I just want to put awareness out. Like, these people are frauds. I mean, they're doing more damage than good for most of our children. I mean, there may be that handful that does have a great experience. I'm not going to take that from anybody. However, there is the mass majority that are not doing their jobs. They are trafficking our children. They are kidnapping our kids. They do not get no benefits until they've separated children from their families. That's not
correct.
okay. They need to be putting some more money into keeping families together rather than separating.
Yep.
I mean, right now, I want people to know that this agency is just as responsible for my daughter's death as Cindy and Richard are.
You're
And
right.
things need to change. They need to change. My daughter had broken teeth. How hard do you hit someone to break their teeth? My daughter had black eyes, multiple black eyes. This lady shaved my daughter's head going into the second grade. I mean, there were numerous signs of abuse that should have been paid attention to, and they just weren't. So I want people to understand, do what you can to fight the system. If you are faced with CPS, find somebody to advocate with you. Do not face this agency alone. You will not win. They are manipulators, and they're liars. They will have you signing paperwork and you will not understand what you're signing. And they will tell you, well, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. If you don't do that, that is going to happen. That is not true. You're going to have to prove it to me. Do not sign anything without somebody looking over that information with you. Don't trust their word. If they need to come into your household, they need to come in with the warrant. They need to come in with the police. They need to come in with something.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't trust them. They're not to be trusted. You're dealing with them, get somebody to advocate with you.
That's exactly right. And you are totally on point with the way that you feel. You know, nobody can make you feel otherwise. And I like that you stand on that, because a lot of people think that this organization is all for the betterment of families and they're all going to help you, and we're trying to help you get your kids back. You know, that's something that they love to say, but at the same time, you're standing here at my front door, you know, basically threatening me, you know?
Yeah, you're trying to help me get my kids back that you took for what reason?
Exactly.
That's the thing. You're trying to help me get my kids back that you've taken from me for what? A phone call from the hotline because somebody is pissed off at me and they've called and made a false report. Or more commonly, you're taking my kids because you don't like me, because you come into my house and I'm not bowing down to you and I'm not giving you the yes man syndrome that you want from me. And so in retaliation, because I'm not kissing your ass, you're going to take my children from me and put me through hell and high water. And there's nobody to tell you that what you've done is wrong. So now you've got my child and now you're putting me through all this stuff to get my child back that you've taken for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Bingo. You know, that's exactly what they do. They come in, take the child, and then come back and tell you, well, we'll help you get your child back. Well, why the hell are you helping me now? You know, you're helping me. That doesn't make any sense. And DCFS has no accountability services that go in and check these people on what they're supposed to be doing. And like she said, you have to have somebody helping you if you are dealing with these people. You have to. Bottom line. Well,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, my son was taken in January of 2019 when I went to court for sentencing. I went to court for sentencing. Me and my son went to court together. And I had no idea that I was going to be taken into custody on that day. So when I went to court with my son and went into custody, DCFS took custody of my son. And so now I've got neglect. So my son is gone for neglect. They said I didn't have a permanency or a placement plan for him, in which prior to my court date, they had me fill out, because I was in intact services, they had me fill out addresses, names, and numbers of people that could take custody of my son in the event that I was taken into custody. So DCFS had this information. They did not approve most. Let me just say this first off. The one or two people that they did call, they did not approve. And these were people that were in town. The people that were out of town, they didn't even call. My cousin, child of God, saved, sanctified, never been to jail, don't even have a traffic ticket. Period. Why couldn't my son go with her? She said they never called me. They never reached out to me. So the people that they did call, they didn't approve. And then everybody else, they didn't call. So now I got neglect as the reason why they took custody of my son. So if I got an apartment, I got a job, but I'm going to jail. and I'm neglectful. So when I get out of jail, okay, I'm out of jail now. I come right out, get a job, come right out, get an apartment. I want my son back. They said, well, we're gonna have him for at least a year. No, the hell you're not. You're gonna give me my son back. So they give me their plan of all the things that I need to do. You got my son because I went to court and y'all couldn't place him nowhere. I don't have family. I don't have anybody in my town. I'm from Minnesota, so I got family in Illinois, but not in Bloomington where I live. So y'all take my son for neglect, but now I got to do domestic violence. I got to do drug treatment. I got to do parenting classes. I got to do all these things that ain't got nothing to do with anything to get my son back. And then you're telling me, oh, well, it's a mandatory 12 months. Well, I've already been away from him for a year and some months. I need my son back. By the grace of God, the judge that we got seen through what DCFS was doing. My son was in a home and he was stable. He always had been with me. Since I've been in prison, my son's been in 9 placements. 9 different placements. Boys' homes included. So you're telling me that having my son bounce around from placement to placement, house to house, is better for him than being stable at home with me?
Yeah.
The guardian ad litem, who is supposed to be the attorney for the child, who didn't even spend time with my son, didn't spend time with me, doesn't know us really, comes into court and says that his behavioral issues are too much for me to handle, and it's best for him to stay ward to state. How? Because he didn't have none of these problems before he became ward of the state. So how is it better for him to be ward of the state than at home with his mother where he don't have these kind of issues? The judge seen through it all and placed him back with me. And it was only 6 months from the time I got out of prison to the time he came back home to me. 5 months.
See, they were talking about a year time frame, and the judge said no. And that's their manipulation tactics. That's how they come in and manipulate, separate, and destroy. Point blank,
Absolutely.
period.
Absolutely.
So, Antionetta, what can we do? What can my audience do to help you? You know,
Well,
keep up the fight.
well, I'm full-time. Justice for Rika J. I'm doing the legal paperwork to try to make it a non-for-profit. So I work from home. If I'm not in a meeting or doing an interview or taking classes, because I'm doing that too. I'm just self-sustaining. I need help. I have a GoFundMe page up. I have my Facebook, Justice, the number 4, Rika J. I'll keep it updated with everything that's going on. I'm an open book because I believe that my life may help somebody else's. The good, the bad, the ugly, the everything in between. I believe that learn from my mistakes. We can strengthen each other. There's power in numbers. I got 6,000 followers in the group, or 6,000 group members. It's a very active group. The support is outstanding. Some days when I feel like giving up, I can go to that group and talk to my family there, and it's just empowering. Just support. I mean, words. I mean, everybody don't have money to help me out, and I understand that times are hard, but the words that come along are strengthening. They're powerful, and I appreciate all the kindness that I get. The stay up, mama, you got it. I mean, guys, everything that people say to me helps, and I mean, just be in support.
Okay. Well, I appreciate this, and like, you already know, we support you over here. Once I heard about this story, sister, it broke me down. When I was researching the other night and looking into stuff, it made me sick. It literally made me sick to my stomach what had to happen to Rika. But she has a strong mother. She has someone out here that's still fighting and advocating for her. And that's what we will do. We will keep her name alive. And I appreciate you so much, Antoine. I really do, for speaking out and giving us an in-depth look at what took place. Sister, you will be blessed. You will be. I promise you. I'm going to go ahead and end the interview now. And is there anything else you would like to say?
Man, all I'm gonna say is just keep sharing her story. Just keeping her name out there. Something's got to change. I'm gonna keep fighting. I'm not gonna shut up. I'm gonna keep getting on their nerves. I'm gonna keep showing up. I'm gonna keep showing out. I'm gonna keep screaming justice for Rika J until I feel like there's justice. Um, just be aware of who your kids are around. Be diligent on speaking up for your child. Talk to your kids and let your kids know, like, you gotta speak up. It's everybody's business to protect our kids. Everybody's business. I know that we got this code in our culture of snitching. It is not snitching to save a child. It is not snitching. There is a difference from whooping a child's ass. I am pro spare ride, spoil the child. You got to whoop your kid's ass. There is a difference from disciplining your child and abusing your child. There are videos where this lady is smashing my daughter's face into the wall. There are videos where my daughter is standing butt naked, soaking wet, running through a house. There is a difference between abuse and discipline. It is our business to pay attention. I had multiple so-called friends inboxing me, calling me, telling me what they seen. Y'all can't call me. I ain't got no voice when it comes to this judicial system. They're not listening to me. You need to call DCFS. You need to call the police. You can't call me and tell me anything. Yeah, I'm the mom. Yeah, I want to do so much, but all I'm going to do is take my ass to jail by lashing out at these people. You need to do your due diligence as a human to protect our kids. You need to. I had a person tell me that they seen my daughter in the store with her dad, and this is an old neighbor. And she said her head was just down. She wasn't upbeat. She wasn't smiling. Usually she run to her and, hug her and all this. She said she sat there like a lost child. Her head was down. She had no emotion and she looked beat. At that point, you should have done something. You should have called somebody. You should have done something. What are they going to do? Do an investigation and say, the child was just having a bad day? But at least they came out to check on that child.
Yeah.
Something. Do something. There's something that we can do. We got to do it.
We don't play about kids over on my platform at all. It's not even a game. It's not even something that you second guess on, helping a child. You are very right about that. Advocacy is necessary in the times we are living in. There are kids getting kidnapped off the streets. My God. I mean, what else do y'all need to see in order for y'all to know that this stuff is real? And it is real. And Rika is a real young girl that had to go through it and experience it for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason. None at all. And it was avoidable. It was 2.5 years. 2.5 years. I screamed. One of the investigations lasted 24 hours. One of the investigations lasted 8 days. When she had the black eyes and they said, take her to the doctor. She needs x-rays. She needs medical attention. They left it up to Cindy and Richard to take her to the doctor. Richard called the social worker, told the social worker, we took her to the doctor and it was fine. She's okay. Case closed. Come to find out, she had other things to do. Rika's medical insurance was lapsed. She took her to the doctor in Pontiac. All lies. She never took her to the doctor. But Richard was able to call CPS and tell them, I took her to the doctor and they said she's fine. No paperwork, no proof, no nothing. Case closed. Continue to beat this child to death, is what they said. That's what I heard. Continue to beat her until continue to beat her is what they did. And that's exactly what happened. They continued to beat her until my daughter died.
I'm so sorry, Antionetta. And, I know that my apologies isn't going to help this situation. but for you as a human going through that as mother, see you eye to eye. This should not have taken place at all. It should not. And I'm glad that you are here to advocate, to talk to us, and to shed light on your baby girl. I appreciate you for coming through. I really do.
Thank you. I appreciate you giving me a platform to share my daughter's story.
Of course.